Welcome to another episode of the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey, once again. How you doing today on this Tuesday?
Well, I'm a little disappointed in my picks from the weekend. I didn't do as well as I thought I was going to do, but other than that, I'm good.
Okay, very nice. I want to start off today's Harvey Hour talking about the team, the New England Patriots.
Oh.
The New England Patriots were defeated by the Miami Dolphins 20-7. Tua Tagovailoa putting up almost 300 yards. Mac Jones a little bit over 200 yards, included with an interception. So I want to know, what was your reaction to how the Patriots played and how the Dolphins played?
Well, that's the game I'm most disappointed in, right? Because I'm a Patriots fan. I thought that the Patriots started out very well. They were in rhythm on their offense in the first drive. They went right down the field. And instead of continuing down the field with the short passing game and mixed in with a couple of runs here and there, they tried to throw the long ball, and it got picked off. But there was pass interference on that play, and it wasn't called. So that was unfortunate, and I think that was a turning point in the game, actually, because after that, the offense stalled and never got really into rhythm except for one drive in the third quarter where they scored, and the rest is history. I think the Dolphins, they moved the ball pretty well, but it was the typical Belichick defense. We bend, and not break much. And if you look at the score, 20-7, one of those touchdowns was a defensive touchdown, right? So that makes it 13 points. And then they scored off a turnover. They scored off that interception. I think they drove down the field and they got some points on. So I thought the defense played reasonably well. They if the offense had anything going really, then they had a good chance to win that game. But it is what it is. And Tyreek Hill was hard to control. He had a good game, and Tua played much better than I thought he would. He looked really good out there, and much better than he's looked in the past. So. The Patriots never win down in Miami. I don't know what it is. They can't pull it off down there. They went down there early to try to prepare, get used to the hot weather, and it didn't work out. So that's how I feel about it.
Well, I thought the immediate thing I saw was in the very beginning of the drives that the Patriots had. The first drive, they drove down 70 yards right to the end zone, but they couldn't put it in the end zone at all.
They had it in the end zone. It got intercepted on a pass interference play.
No, I will admit that. Yes,
it was a pass interference.
No,
why they didn't call it? The guy put his hand right in face of.
Well, it was great. He was grabbing his shoulder pad. It wasn't. Devontae Adams could have had a very difficult time trying to get that ball if he made an effort, but he couldn't because he was Devontae Parker, my bad. The Patriots, the problem is, once again, who was calling the plays? Because as soon as Mac Jones threw the interception, it wasn't Matt Patricia talking to Mac Jones telling him, yo, what happened? It was Joe Judge. Joe Judge came over, and he was sitting with him and Brian Hoyer, and then eventually Bill Belichick came over. Matt Patricia wasn't anywhere to be found. But apparently, right before the game, Matt Patricia was talking about, it was reported that Matt Patricia was going to be the play caller. But it turns out we don't even know who it was, and that's the problem. That's the problem because two people might have two different visions, and my guess is Belichick. The report was it would have been Matt Patricia calling the plays, heavily influenced by Bill Belichick, and I said, this offense is not going to be good, and Bill Belichick will probably step in. And it looks like, you know what? He's stepping in right now, and the offense looks super, super basic. Short passing, not many long shots, nothing, innovative, nothing creative. They didn't run the ball particularly well. They had a couple very nice runs, but you know what? They didn't run the ball very well. Damian Harris was only held to 9 carries for 48 yards. Ramondre Stevenson had 8 carries for 25 yards. You're not running the ball pretty well, really at all. The Dolphins, Tyreek Hill is going all over you. 8 catches, 94 yards. you couldn't stop him, and I knew that. As soon as they got rid of J.C. Jackson, the defense would suffer incredibly. The secondary, was pretty poor. It was pretty bad. The second receiver, Jalen Waddle, 4 catches for 69 yards and a touchdown. It didn't look good. The offensive line, Trent Brown, I don't know what he was doing. He didn't pick up the blitzer that strip sacked Mac Jones. Hunter Henry didn't even see him, and he was the tight end right next to Trent Brown. So the Patriots, they have a super basic offense, and I knew it. As soon as, they don't win in Miami. They haven't, the last, 4 out of 5 out of 6 now. They've lost to Miami. They can't beat Miami anymore. And now, especially losing the best cornerback in the NFL, you're going up against Tyreek Hill, who's the fastest NFL player in history, especially with pads on. This was over before it started. Mac Jones really had no chance. He had one really, really nice throw to Kendrick Bourne. That was Kendrick Bourne's only play of the entire game. They put him in at the very, very end at a nice 41-yard catch. But other than that, it was pretty. And that one catch was the second leading receiver for the Patriots. That's it. One catch, and he was already number 2. The other leading receiver,
yards.
41 yards. Yeah, Jacoby Myers was your leading. 4 catches, 55 yards. The Patriots are in serious danger. They play the Steelers next week. I don't feel good about that game, but the only hope is that, TJ Watt, he's out for at least 6 weeks. It's not out for the year, so that's good news for Steelers fans. But you know what? The Steelers have a really good defense. The Dolphins didn't have that really good of a defense. They really don't. They have a couple nice pieces, but in total, their defense is nothing to really write home about. Yeah. So, Mac Jones right now, he's dealing with back spasms. He's questionable for week 2. We'll see what his status is throughout the week. But
I bet he plays.
The Patriots just do not look good. There's no one responsible. And you know what? Bill Belichick was not ready. Just like after Tom Brady, he wasn't ready after Josh McDaniels left. It looks exactly like that because he brought in 2 coaches that he already was on his coaching staff beforehand. Didn't get anyone new. Didn't get anyone creative. He now has a special teams coordinator and an old defensive coordinator calling offensive plays. It makes no sense at all. And I said early on this year, if Mac Jones needs someone who will help him get to that next stage, the second year for rookie quarterback is the most crucial year to see growth. You saw it with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has dealt with so many offensive coordinators and so many head coaches, and he is a low completion percentage, and he just looks bad. He played really, really well. You know what? No, I'm not even going to say he played well. He played really good. He played decently. He completed a lot of passes, a lot of very, very short passes, but Saquon ran that show, the Giants.
Well, he threw an interception and had a fumble.
Yeah.
He had 2 turnovers.
No, he did, but you know what? He completed, I think, like 85% of his throws. I think he only missed maybe 2-3 passes in total, but if Saquon ran that show, I think he had close to like 190 yards rushing or some crazy number like that. But the Patriots, I'm afraid, are in serious danger. Mac Jones, I'm not gonna say he's hit a ceiling, but with a B- to B, if you're really pushing it, receiving core they're spending over $70 million on, the most in the league, and you have an average receiving core, that's not looking good for the Patriots.
Yeah. Well, I'd say one other thing in terms of the game analysis, the touchdown they gave up to Waddle right with like 3 seconds to go in the first half was unacceptable. They just were asleep at the switch there. That never should have happened. So I blame that one on not only the players but the coaches too. They weren't prepared for that play. They should have been. You take that play, and you take the sack for the fumble for the touchdown, sack, yeah. Right? That's 14 points right there. Right. So it could have been the Patriots scored 1 touchdown. It could have been 7-6 at the end. So they made the mental errors and execution errors in that game that they can't continue to do if they want to be a playoff team this year.
Watching this game made me it reminded me of how the playoff game with the Bills started. The Bills drove right down there, got a touchdown, and then the Patriots drove right back down. And then Mac Jones had that interception in the left corner, and it went all downhill from there. And this is essentially the same.
Well, they didn't give up the kind of points that they did.
Well, no, because the Bills are a significantly better team than the Dolphins, but it mimicked it very, very well because, you know what? The Bills in the playoff game went right down there, scored a touchdown. Mac Jones drove right down the field, was about to score a touchdown, interception, fell off a cliff. They scored points at the end, right? They scored 17 points in the game. But it's the same thing, right? I think the Patriots got the ball first, threw an interception, and then the Dolphins drove right down there, got a touchdown. I'm pretty sure the next drive was the strip sack. That's what, 14 points? What, actually, did they get a field goal first? I'm not sure how the scoring right here. Yeah, no, they got a field goal after the interception, and then the second quarter, the two touchdowns, Jalen Waddle and the strip sack, and then
the
after this,
turnovers
field
hurt
goal.
the Patriots, and the mental gaffe with that sack for a touchdown and the fumble,
The strip sack.
the strip sack, and the Waddle play at the end of the first half.
I'm nervous. I'm seriously nervous because it's you're spending the most money on a receiving core, and your receivers are average to slightly above average at best.
There's 16 more games to go. We'll see.
I know, but just take
the
a look.
Patriots started slow last year too, and they made the playoffs. So
Yes, but they had They had an actual offensive coordinator who has seen success.
We'll see what happens.
Cam Newton came late last. Not late last year. No, it was last year. Yeah, Cam Newton came towards the end of training camp last year. Put up a 7-9 record. That's impressive.
Last
Or
year.
the year before. The year before. 7-9 record. Josh McDaniels had to make an entirely new playbook because Cam Newton's style was very different than Tom Brady's. So he had to invent a whole new type of offense, and they went 7-9.
Yeah.
And then with Mac Jones, a brand new quarterback, he had to change it back again, and they went 10-7. And now with two play callers, not even an OC, two play callers, it could be three because it's heavily influenced by Bill Belichick. You don't even have a single guy who's really calling plays.
Oh, well, they'll have to figure that out.
They play the Steelers, then they play the Ravens, then the Packers. I think the Lions might give them trouble after what I saw against the Eagles. The Browns, I think they'll do fine against the Browns. The Bears beat the 49ers, but that was a crazy anomaly game.
Yeah. Trey Lance.
Hey, I'm not sure I'm going to sell all my stock for Trey Lance yet, but he did not play as good as he could have.
I'd say he's got one more chance. If they lose,
I don't think so.
They lose this week, then Jimmy G.
And then they play the Colts. The Colts, that was a weird game against the Texans.
I couldn't believe that.
Then the Jets again. The Vikings just beat the Packers. We'll discuss that later. The Bills, the Cardinals, Raiders, Bengals, Dolphins, Bills. They are not going to win a single game out of the last 7. I really can't see them beating any team in the last 7 because, yes, the Bengals had a gaffe in week 1, but they still got Jamar. You have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Joe Mixon. Who's going to guard Jamar Chase? Jonathan Jones? Who couldn't guard Tyreek Hill?
I don't know. I mean, Burrow threw 4 interceptions and fumbled the ball once in the first game. So
the Steelers have a significantly beber defense than the Patriots, so that doesn't surprise me.
T.J. Watt, he's out for 6 weeks.
I know, but by then he'll be. They had T.J. Watt, but then the Steelers, they won't have him next week. The Patriots will be up against Minkah Fitzpatrick. So who knows? I think Minkah Fitzpatrick's a ball hawk. So. I am a Patriots fan. I'm nervous. I was shaking when they said that there's not an official OC. Losing Josh McDaniels was a shock to the heart, but he deserved a head coaching job after what he's been doing for the Patriots offense. But
he lost his first game.
No, correct, to a Justin Herbert who has the most 300-yard games since coming into the league, and his first ever career start, he went toe to toe with Patrick Mahomes. So. I wouldn't put that away. I would not say, he lost to Justin Herbert, a top 5 quarterback now. But let's move on to our next topic. We're going to talk about the Vikings and the Packers. The Vikings did upset the Packers because right before when we made the show last Friday, they were, I believe, 2-point underdogs. They beat the Packers 23-7. Rodgers was held to under 200 yards passing. Kirk Cousins almost had 300 yards passing. He had 2 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers threw a pick with no touchdowns. And Rodgers once again went back to criticizing his rookie receivers, which, does not surprise me in the least because in the first offensive play, he had a receiver named Christian Watson, a rookie out of North Dakota State University, who did drop an open pass that would have been for a touchdown. And then Rodgers did not target him until the second half. Romeo Doubs also did not get that many targets in the game, especially early on. Your leading receiver was your running back, A.J. Dillon. I wonder where we saw that. Maybe it was last year against San Francisco where your running backs had, I believe it was 10 targets. Aaron Jones had 10 targets. Well, I think one less than Davante Adams. But you know what? What's your reaction to how the Packers and the Vikings each played?
I was surprised. I picked the Packers to win that game. I thought that the Packers' defense would be the difference there. That their defense was strong last year and could be even stronger this year. But it didn't happen. The Vikings beat them, and Justin Jefferson, 180 yards receiving, right? He could be right up there in terms of the MVP voting this year, I think, because he's a special talent. He's a very special talent. Kirk Cousins was good. And what was the final score in the Packers game?
23-7.
23-7. So obviously the Vikings defense was pretty good as well, although maybe it's more the Packers offense, which has got some serious problems there with receivers, I guess. So
who would you put, if I had to ask you, who would you put the blame on this game? Would you put it on Aaron Rodgers, the Packers defense? Who are you going to throw blame at for the pretty crushing loss? Especially a morale
I think they're
loss.
equally to blame. I mean, they gave up 23 points and they only scored 7.
So you're not going to put blame on a specific person. You're going to say the team in general just played bad.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm at. I do think it was a mistake for Rodgers to criticize the receivers because I think that got into their heads, and if he'd said nothing, maybe that guy would have caught that ball.
Well, I'm gonna put about 60% of the blame on Aaron Rodgers, strictly because you know what? He's the general of a football team. When you're the general of a football team, you basically run the show. And the biggest problem I have with Aaron Rodgers is that he does it publicly. A lot of receivers, I guarantee you, when what's his name, Christian Watson, when he dropped that pass, I'm sure he was embarrassed because it was the first offensive play. He knows he would have scored that touchdown. You're embarrassed because you dropped an open pass for a touchdown. So you don't need Aaron Rodgers grilling you about it. The all-time greats, the veterans, a lot of the veterans, and including Tom Brady, when you have a super young receiver, there's definitely growing pains. But the difference between a seasoned veteran who understands what that means and Aaron Rodgers is that Aaron Rodgers expects you to play like a veteran even if you come from a small school and you're a rookie. Christian Watson coming out of North Dakota State University, he hasn't played in many big-time games, let alone this is his first NFL regular season game, and you're expecting, him to perform well. Yes, he did drop an open pass. I'm sure he fully acknowledges that.
Yeah.
But it's you don't need to grill him about it. You could talk to him privately.
Yeah, I think that's the
going
big
to the
thing.
media about it and complaining about missed throws.
We talked about this in a prior show. There was a mistake to bring it into the media into it. It should have been behind closed doors, the discussion. It would have been much better. That's the team way to do it.
Yeah. No, I agree. They ran the ball decently well. Aaron Jones, 9.8 yards a carry. He had 5 carries for 50, or essentially 50 yards, 49 yards. Aaron Rodgers, once again, played. He didn't really throw the ball downfield that much. I mean, I guess it was no separation from the receivers. Jordan Love came in again for the second week 1 game in a row last year when they got blown out by the Saints. I think it was 38-3 last year. Jordan Love came in. Aaron Rodgers sat out. But Aaron Rodgers, you know what? He's a back-to-back MVP, so you need to understand that, yes, you're the back-to-back MVP. You threw for, I think, 4,300 yards last year, maybe even more than that. I don't have the number in front of me. It might have been less, actually. 37 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. You almost have a 5-to-1 career touchdown to interception ratio. You're the back-to-back MVP. The thing that people understand, the thing that people don't understand is that when you're older, right? Aaron Rodgers is getting up there. He's almost 40 years old. You need to get talent around you eventually. Brady understood that. When the Patriots were basically, bone dry at receiver the year right before, it might have been his last year, the Patriots led the league in drops. Julian Edelman had the most drops as a receiver, and his receiving core was bone dry. No one was in his receiving core anymore. So he went up, got out of there, went to the Bucs, who had considered by Pro Football Focus the best receiving core the prior year. Brady understood that. Rodgers is getting $50 million a year for over 3 years. He couldn't even get, his best receiver back because, you know what? Davante Adams, I'm sure, was fed up with Rodgers constantly saying almost every offseason, at least recently, hey, I may retire, I may come back, I'm not sure. So, you know what? Davante Adams got some security, went over to Las Vegas. So
Aaron Rodgers got his $50 million a year.
Right, he got his $50 million a year. And you know what? Like I said, the Packers, I know this is week 1, but the way the Packers just played offense against the Vikings don't have a particularly great defense. They did pick up Zadarius Smith, who was the Packers' best linebacker last year. He played pretty well, but you know what? The Vikings don't have a particularly great defense. Last year, I'm going to bring up the ranking right now. Last year, in yards allowed, they were 30th. Their defense. They were 30th in yard. They were bad against passing, and you know what? They were bad against rushing as well. They were 26th for rushing yards allowed, and they were 28th for passing yards allowed. They did not have a particularly good defense. Against Aaron Rodgers, the back-to-back MVP, they looked great. They were getting a tremendous amount of pressure. They sacked Aaron Rodgers, I think, 4 times yesterday.
The Packers have new players on their offensive line?
What's up?
Do the Packers have new players on their offensive line?
They did not have. I think Bakhtiari was out yesterday, or I keep saying yesterday, Sunday. So I think they were missing 2 offensive linemen. But you know what?
Well, that's pretty big.
No,
they're missing 2 offensive linemen.
It is big, but you know what? You have to mold around that, right? For instance, Brady. He has a bunch of new offensive linemen. I think he has a brand new, or not a brand new center, but a backup center.
Oh, that could come back to haunt him.
Donovan Smith got hurt midway through the game. They had Josh Wells play left tackle against Micah Parsons. But you know what? Guess what they did? The Bucs adapted. Brady adapted. And that's what you got to do. Aaron Rodgers.
I don't think they scored any points in the second half, though.
They didn't need to. Aaron Rodgers, once again, coming from behind, he looked bad. He was playing it safe a lot of the time. You know what? And when they get down, when Aaron Rodgers gets down, he tries to find a security blanket. That was Davante Adams. Now it turned into, potentially, which, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, his old buddy Randall Cobb. Not really anyone else he trusts right now, and that's the problem. He doesn't trust anyone.
They have Sammy Watkins, too, right?
Yeah, he caught three passes for 18 yards. Nothing to write home about.
Yeah, again, it's the first game of the season. We'll see.
I'm taking the first looks here. It could be. It is an overreaction a little bit, but just what I'm seeing. The Matt LaFleur literally needed to implement, pitch arounds so Christian Watson would get another touch. Aaron Rodgers didn't target him until like the middle of the second half, just because it's a trust issue. He dropped one pass. Okay, you're in the doghouse for me until we force plays onto you. And that's a problem that Aaron Rodgers has. And you know what? That's the whole thing about growing pains. They're a young receiver. You need to adapt to the fact that they're young. You can't get mad at them for making for missing a play because they're young. They need to adapt. Christian Watson, like I said, rookie at a North Dakota State University.
That's fine. I agree with everything you said. The only counterpoint to it is the NFL, and you're in it to win it. So you make those mistakes, could be out of a job real quick. So that's a very unforgiving league. It's a winning culture. Everybody's out there to win. And if you're doing things that prevent that from happening, or you're making mistakes, you won't be long for the team. So in one respect, it was poor that Aaron, the way he did it was totally wrong in terms of the way he communicated it through the media. But in another respect, the players got to know, hey, your chances are limited. You got to come through. Well, you won't be out there. So it's tough business.
No, it is.
It's a very tough business.
But you have to realize that N'Keal Harry was able to keep his job on the Patriots for 3 years. So that it's it is what it is.
Now.
Yeah, no, he is gone now. He's on the Bears. But let's move on to our next topic here. We're going to talk about a game which I was very, very upset to see the ending of. So we're going to talk about another one of the homecoming games, and we're going to talk about all 3 actually coming up in our next topic. But the Panthers did lose to the Browns on a 58-yard game-winning field goal from the Browns rookie kicker. I believe his name is Cade York. The kick was amazing. That could have been, good from 65 yards. That's what it seemed, at least. But at the end of the game, the Browns' last drive, there's two calls. One that was a call, and one that was a missed call, or actually it was called, and then the refs picked up the flag because I guess I don't think the report's out, but everyone was questioning what was going on, especially the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, who's slipping my name right now. But I want to talk about that real quick, and then I'll move it on to you. So let's get into a little bit of a detail here. So Baker Mayfield drove them right down to allow them to kick a would-have-been game-winning field goal and put them up by a singular point. It was 24-23. It was like a minute left in the game. Everyone thought, you know what? It's Baker Mayfield. He just played really well. He had a great second half. The Panthers defense throughout the entire game could not stop Nick Chubb. I believe the Browns almost had 200 more rushing yards than the entirety of the Carolina Panthers. But in the second half, Baker Mayfield played really, really well, and that last drive drove them right down, able to kick what would have been the game-winning field goal. Then Jacoby Brissett and the Browns take the field, and they make a couple good plays, and then there's a roughing the passer call that even the announcer said shouldn't have really been called. And Brian Burns, if you guys don't know the play, I'll try to describe it because I don't have the clip. Brian Burns, I forget the tackle. I think his name is Joey Benito. I'm going to stick with that for now. But regardless, Brian Burns absolutely blows up the Browns offensive lineman and hits Jacoby Brissett's arm, which then in turn makes it come out looking weird because he just hit your throwing arm. And they call a roughing the passer call on something that shouldn't have been called roughing the passer because Jacoby Brissett fell down, which then made it appear like he just got drilled by Brian Burns. But in reality, it was just because that Brian Burns blew up his offensive lineman and backed right into Jacoby Brissett. Shouldn't have been called. But regardless, yes, they get the 15-yard penalty and they drive right down. And then I think I think they complete one or two passes later, and then a intentional grounding, or a spike that should have been called intentional grounding. The rule that the NFL provides, you can look this up on what the rule of intentional grounding is. The rule is you have to be under center. Jacoby Brissett was under center. He was not in the shotgun, not in pistol formation, nothing. Under the center. So that's a check right there. The next rule is when you get the ball, you have to immediately spike it into the ground. That's not what happened at all in this game. Jacoby Brissett must have had like a mental, blob in his head when he did it because he snapped the ball under center and then took a step back, turned, realized what happened, and then spiked the ball. The ref called the flag immediately because that's what should have been called, which was intentional grounding. The head ref says, no, pick it up. And then the ref on the mic said he fake spiked it and then spiked the ball. No penalty. That's not a thing. That's not a thing at all. It's either you fake spike it or you do spike it. But he didn't spike it because he snapped the ball, turned back, and then spiked it when he realized that, we're fake spiking it. And you could even see it. If you rewatch the play, look at the bottom receiver. The bottom receiver takes an out route because he thought there was going to be a play happening. So he's already on a route. The rest of the team doesn't know what's going on. They thought it might be a spike, but one receiver doesn't know what's going on. He does an out route. Jacoby Brissett doesn't know what's going on because he takes a step back and then turns and spikes the ball. That obviously doesn't get called as intentional grounding. They call it a spike. It was third down at that time, so that everyone thought they might have ran a play, and I think Jacoby Brissett originally thought they might run a play to try to get a first down. They don't do that. They spike the ball. Fourth down, Cade York kicks a 58-yard field goal that could have been good from probably 65. But that it would have been a 15-yard penalty. That would have been like a 73-yard. This is a 15 yards back. That would have been a 73-yard field goal. It wouldn't happen at all. So, what's your reaction to what happened, and how Baker Mayfield and that whole situation? What's your reaction on it?
Unfortunate for the Panthers. Two bad calls.
Yeah.
Right. On the same drive, right?
Same drive.
Yeah. So they were playing at Browns at home. So I don't know. Maybe it was a little unfair.
What do you think? Hometown call?
Advantage. Hometown call. That's too bad. Baker Mayfield said that the reason they lost is they didn't start fast enough.
Right.
That they and he didn't play well in the first half.
He did not play very well the first half, but that offensive line, Sam Darnold dealt with it 2, that offensive line is bad. I understand. Myles Garrett, he's probably right now, the best defensive player so far during the season. He blew up the Panthers' offensive line. If I was an offensive lineman, I was playing Myles Garrett looks so jacked. I'd be afraid of him. But I think Baker Mayfield throughout the course of the game had like 5-6 batted balls. That's something that Kevin Stefanski told his defense. When Baker Mayfield's in the pocket, put your arms up, because Baker Mayfield is undersized for a quarterback, so it's easier to block his balls when he's in the pocket. But in the second half, Baker Mayfield played really, really well. But what really, the time of possession in the game was drastic. I think the Browns had like 38 minutes time of possession to there would be 22 minutes for the Panthers, because they just ran the ball super well. I'll bring up the game right now, but I think Nick Chubb had like 100 and I want to say 60 something yards in the game. Let's see. Nick Chubb had 141 yards. Kareem Hunt had 46 yards. Anthony Schwartz had 20, and Jacoby Brissett had 10. I can't do quick math, but that's 210 yards, give or take. I think it's like 217 if I'm not mistaken. The Panthers, Christian McCaffrey, he didn't run the ball. He ran the ball 10 times, but it wasn't until the very end they started running the ball. He had 10 carries for 33 yards and a touchdown. They did not run they had under 50 yards rushing. So that just shows you right there. The Panthers did not run the ball very well, and that was in large part due to the Browns just blowing up the offensive line as soon as they snapped the ball. So I'm very disappointed in the game. If any one of the calls, the roughing the passer call wasn't called, and yes, okay. So if you do watch the playback and you see, yes, Brian Burns clips Jacoby Brissett's face mask. I understand that. So they called it, I'm assuming, for that, even though when I first saw it, I didn't even see that happen. I just saw the arm. I saw Brian Burns' arm hit Jacoby Brissett's arm. But people are like, okay, so they called that. Helmet to face mask. Jacoby Brissett falls down. They call the penalty. So why didn't they call it for the Rams when Von Miller nailed Tom Brady with the crown of his helmet into Brady's face mask and bloodied up his lip? They didn't call that. Brady got called for his first unsportsmanlike conduct of his career. 22 years in, that's his first call. Why didn't they call it then? You know what? It was even more destructive because Brady had proof he just got nailed in the face. Jacoby Brissett didn't come up with a bloodied lip. It was a flag thrown. So, on that regard, I say, you know what? It's unfair. It's really unfair for, the consistency of the calls. It'll never get fixed because it's human error. You miss a call here. After the Saints-Rams playoff game a couple years ago, they implemented the challenging of a pass interference. You could challenge a pass interference call or challenge to get a pass interference call. And for some reason, everyone at home could get the call right, but the refs on the field couldn't get it right. There'd be plays where it's obvious pass interference, and they would say no pass interference or whatever, call upheld or whatever. And then the very next year, they got rid of that, the ability to challenge a pass interference. So I don't know what it is. It's human error. It's really, really unfortunate for the Browns.
I don't think they should have eliminated that rule that you can challenge a pass defense. I mean, there's so much passing in the NFL
right
now. They should have that option for at least one or two passes in a game.
They got rid of it because
the Patriots would have challenged that first drive. They would have won that. That would have been turned over.
I mean, with the way they called it back, and I think it was 2019 they had that rule. The refs never got it right, so my guess would be they wouldn't have called pass interference there just because that's just how they were calling it back then. They would not get that challenge right.
At least they get a chance to try. I mean, that was pretty blatant. It was pretty bad.
It was. He was holding his shoulder pad. Devontae Parker could not get his left arm up. So, yeah, for the Browns, it was great for the Browns because they kicked a beautiful 58-yarder for their rookie. I believe he was drafted in the 4th round. But super unfortunate for Baker Mayfield and the Panthers. I still have them making the playoffs.
Oh.
I do, because you know what? Baker Mayfield understands. And why can't I remember the Panthers head coach's name? Matt Rule, that's his name. He knows what was going on because he told the refs, hey, refs, that's intentional grounding. And the head, someone actually threw a flag, and the head ref said, no, that's not. He fake spiked it, then spiked it, which that, in my mind, when I heard that call, I'm like, how does that make any sense? It's either you fake spike or you spike. You can't fake spike and then spike. That isn't a thing. because the rule, you can look it up right now. That's what I did. I looked up what the rule of intentional grounding is. There's 3 aspects of it. One that I forgot to read, but it had nothing to do with this situation. It's you're under center, you snap the ball, you spike it. You don't take a step back, turn around, realize, then spike it. That's not a thing. So I guess it's unfortunate. But we're going to take our first break of the Harvey Hour. We'll be back in just 2 minutes.
Introducing video podcasts on Spotify.
Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch
Or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe,
Interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.
You have a lot to say. Maybe you've thought, I should start a podcast. Meet Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast ever. It's a powerful mobile app and web tool that lets you record a podcast anywhere and distribute it everywhere. It's great whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out. And it's 100% free. You can record your show straight into Anchor on your phone, iPad, or the web, using any mic you want. Record alone or with friends or co-hosts anywhere in the world. You can add background music and transitions, and your listeners can send you voice messages that you can incorporate right into your next episode. If you want to produce your show using another app, you can upload your own audio directly from web or mobile, and still take advantage of Anchor's totally free podcast hosting. Once your podcast is ready to publish, Anchor can automatically distribute it to every major podcast platform. That includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, so your listeners can hear your show wherever they want. And on the web, you can see detailed analytics about how people are listening. Plus, you'll get a great-looking profile page where anyone can listen to your podcast or subscribe to it. And if you want to ask your audience to support your work, Anchor makes it easy to collect monthly payments from the people who love your podcast and want to see it grow. You really don't need a recording studio, expensive equipment, or a bunch of technical knowledge to deal with a podcast feed. Just get started and join the diverse community of podcasters already on Anchor. We can't wait to hear your podcast.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. I'm once again joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's begin with our new topic. We had 3, I would say significant homecoming games. Joe Flacco up against the Ravens, Baker Mayfield up against the Browns, and we had Russell Wilson up against the Seahawks. That just happened. That game was Monday night, which would be yesterday. I want to talk about the first game that was. We already talked about the Panthers and the Browns, so we'll cover that at the end. But the Ravens and the Jets. The Ravens did win, so Joe Flacco got every single homecoming team. So Joe Flacco with the Jets, Baker Mayfield with the Panthers, and Russell Wilson with the Broncos. They all lost. Every single one of them lost.
Yeah.
But Ravens won 24-9. Lamar Jackson a little over 200 yards passing, 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. Joe Flacco outthrew him 307 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception on 59 attempts. 59 throws Joe Flacco had. Michael Carter, 60 yards rushing, so he was pretty efficient, 6 yards a carry. Breece Hall, their supposedly a phenomenal running back, he had 6 carries for only 23 yards. Not good. Corey Davis was the Jets' leading receiver with 6 catches for 77 yards. Garrett Wilson, the rookie, 4 catches, 52 yards. And Elijah Moore, who is, I assume he's the number 1 receiver after Crowder went to I believe he's on the Bills right now. Elijah Moore, 5 catches, 49 yards. So what you think of the Jets game? Because the Jets played really, really well. Their defense played very, very well in the first half.
9 points.
No, I understand they only scored 9, but throughout the game,
They didn't run the ball enough, right? You got to keep Lamar Jackson off the field.
Right.
And they were throwing the ball too much. I think the 59 attempts. The time of possession, they needed to possess the ball more to keep Lamar off the field.
The Jets
you got to put points up on the board, and they weren't able to do it.
The Jets actually had more time of possession. They had 5 minutes more than the Ravens. Because they played really, really good defense. Their offense was just lackluster. The first two quarters, the first half, it was a 10-3 ball game. It was very within the realms of beating the Ravens. The thing I noticed immediately with the Ravens game was Lamar Jackson focused on passing a lot more. I don't know what it was, but Lamar Jackson was throwing the ball, and Lamar Jackson was not looking to go out and scramble whatsoever. He had 6 rushing attempts for 17 yards. Lamar Jackson, a low completion percentage, just above 50%, 17 of 30, 213 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. I think, personally, if you were up against any other team, I think the Ravens would lose this game. I really do. Because, you know what? Lamar Jackson didn't play. Yes, he played as well as he did against the Jets. We got to understand it. It's against the Jets. The Jets are...
But you said the Jets' defense played very well.
No, they did. They played surprisingly well. That's why. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe they have a good defense this year.
But then in the second half, the Ravens went out and scored 4. No, but like they had Joe Flacco. They had Joe Flacco on offense. Yes, Joe Flacco outthrew him, but it's Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco ain't what he used to be, back in 2012 where he won the Super Bowl. So it's very, very different than what it used to be.
Oh, he had 300 yards passing.
He did, and that's what's surprising.
How many quarterbacks this week had 300 yards passing? Not very many.
Well, off the top of my head, I know Russell Wilson. They will get to him just in a minute or so. Russell Wilson
might be
did.
The only other one.
Nah. Because Patrick Mahomes had over 300.
Oh yeah, Patrick. Mahomes.
I'm not sure. I'll look it up right now. Justin Herbert might have because Justin Herbert. You know what? I'm pretty sure it's like. I don't want to put a number to it, but he's a lot of 300-yard passing games. Derek Carr had 5 yards less than 300, so he's extreme. Okay, Justin Herbert did not. He had 279 yards passing. But you know what? Am I surprised the Jets lost? No. What I am surprised about is how well that defense played against Lamar Jackson. And I think it's just because Lamar wasn't, as dual thready as he usually is. He wasn't looking to run really that much. He kind of left it up to Kenyon Drake. He had one beautiful throw to, I believe it was Duvernay, for a touchdown. Duvernay had 2 touchdowns today, Sunday. And then Rashad Bateman, who people are saying, hey, he drops the ball a lot. Who knows what's going to happen with him? He had a touchdown, was their leading receiver with 59 yards and 2 catches. But it's the Jets. I think if you put really any other team, and place the Jets, I don't know if Lamar comes out with that win because Lamar didn't play great. He played pretty well for what it was, but
they scored quite a few points.
Well, yeah, that was okay. Yes, in the second half, they scored 14 points.
Okay, well, it was close in the first half, and they came out and beat him in the second half. They made the adjustments, and they were able to score a lot more points. And
right.
He played a big role in that, so I'd say he had a pretty good game.
You know what? He was up against the Jets. So, I mean, yes. A lot of quarterbacks look really, really good against the Jets.
We'll see. I mean, it's only the first game of the season. The Jets, I think they'll be better this year than they were last year.
It's hard to say when you have Joe Flacco as your starting quarterback for the first
he's only going to be
3
in there,
games.
3 games or so.
Yeah, but then Zach Wilson comes in, and Zach Wilson, he looked good at the very end of the year, but over the course of the season, he did not particularly look that well.
Well, the Jets are an unlucky team, too.
They're a very unlucky team. Yeah, I would say. Let's move on to our Monday Night Football game that just happened yesterday. Russell Wilson and the Broncos lost to Geno Smith and the Seahawks. What the hell happened yesterday?
I don't know. I didn't see that one coming at all. I thought that the Broncos would beat them.
I did too.
Boy, the fans gave Russell Wilson a hard time.
Oh, they grilled him.
They had a Broncos jersey that said "Boo" on the back of it with his number on it. Yeah,
I'm not surprised with that at all.
They were tough on him. I think maybe they should remember all the winning they had when he was a quarterback. Maybe a little more appreciative. Man, they were terrible. They really gave him a hard time. They were saying when he threw the ball, they'd say Geno. They were saying Geno. So that's. I was very surprised by Geno Smith's performance. He only missed 3 passes, 23 for 25, I think. No, 20. 25 or 28.
He was 23 of 28.
23, so only missed 5 passes.
But he started off, I think, 10 of 11?
No, 16 of he was 16 of 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
It was.
Yeah, he looked like a world beater out there, and he was running the ball too. He took some hits. Yeah, he's got to be a little more careful there. He won't be playing very long if he keeps taking those kinds of hits.
He had something to prove. You know what?
It's been a long time since he started.
The way Geno Smith played was the way people were scouting him when he was starting to come into the NFL. He played phenomenally yesterday against Bradley Chubb, Pat Surtain, the second. He played better. He played so well. I was surprised.
The Broncos' defense was a lot better in the second half.
They were.
Right?
No, they were.
No points scored.
Yeah, they put up 0 points.
The Seahawks was good. Had a good defense the second half too. Nobody scored in the second half.
The Broncos had a field goal in the fourth quarter, but they just the entire game was a defensive beauty on both parts. But I definitely like the Seahawks performance. We each picked the Broncos. We were wrong in that regard. But Rashad Penny, 12 carries, 60 yards. That was good for him. Your leading receiver was a tight end, I believe, named Will Dissly.
Yeah.
Who is Will Dissly?
Yeah. He's making a name for himself.
Yeah, he is. He's making a name for himself. Absolutely. DK Metcalf did not play particularly well. No, he is. No, he's a monster. He's a monster. 7 catches, 36 yards. Not great. Tyler Lockett, three catches for 28 yards. So he played okay.
They were throwing the short passes.
Yeah, they were. And that's kind of the way you want to play Geno Smith, because the Seahawks aren't a very good team. Yes, they just beat the Broncos, but as a just general concept, the Seahawks are not a very good team, so they want to play to Geno's strengths. Geno Smith had under 200 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. The Broncos, on the other hand, I want to talk about them. Russell Wilson, 340 yards, a single touchdown. They ran the ball okay, nothing great. Jerry Jeudy was 100 yards, 102 yards on 4 catches. Cortland Sutton, who I thought would have a really good year, 4 catches, 72 yards. They were pretty good. The one killer was the penalties. 12 penalties. Yeah. 121 yards.
Yeah, they were sloppy.
They were very, very sloppy, and that's a coaching issue. And while we're on the topic of coaching, there's a comparison that I made between what happened at the end of the Broncos game and what Aaron Rodgers had to deal with, because Nathaniel Hackett was the OC of the Packers, at least I'm doing recently, so the past 2 seasons. In 2020, when the Packers were up against the Buccaneers in that, I believe it was the NFC Championship game, if we look back to that, the end of the Packers, or the last drive of the Packers, they were first and goal at the 8-yard line. There was a missed throw to Allen Lazard. There was, and then 2 forced throws to Davante Adams. And then people wondering, they should go for it. They're down by 11. They need to get a touchdown plus a 2-point conversion. Or if they missed a 2-point conversion, at least they're, a touchdown wins the game for them. Nathaniel Hackett and Matt LaFleur decided to kick a field goal. The Packers lost by 8. I believe it was 31 to... I can't remember the last.
23.
That's
an 8-point difference.
No, I was thinking that I maybe got the Bucs score wrong, but I think they did score 31 points. But yeah, it would have been 31 to, was it 23 you said?
Yeah.
I can't do math.
You can't do math in your head?
No, I'm focused on this because what happened last night? 4th and 5. You're not going to put Russell Wilson in to get you 5 yards? And not only that, literally the play right before that, the 3rd and 5. I think it was actually 3rd and 14. You get 9 yards at a minute. When, I forgot who caught the ball, but whoever caught the ball was down at a minute. It took them 40 seconds to get situated to then call a timeout for 4th and 5. And then Nathaniel Hackett, Rodgers OC, just like in 2020 against the Bucs, kicked a field goal. In this circumstance, or in the Packers circumstance, they made it. They weren't able to, beat Tom Brady and the Bucs, or have a chance to. But in this one, it was a 64-yard field goal for, I think it was Brandon McManus. He hasn't kicked a 60-plus yarder or made a 55-plus yarder in 6 years. And you're going to put him at a 64-yard field goal? And, as a head coach, as a rookie head coach, you're not going to trust Russell Wilson, who has him and Pete Carroll had the most combined wins in the first 10 years of a career. You're not going to put him in, a Super Bowl winner? You're not going to put him in to get you 5 yards because you don't believe in him? He threw 340 yards passing and a touchdown.
Sounds like a mistake.
It sounds like a coaching error. The entire Broncos were
How much
coached very
time was
poorly.
left at that point?
It was 3rd and 14. They throw it to, I'm assuming, a running back, so we're going to go with a running back, Javonte Williams. Gets 9 yards at 1:02. They call timeout with 20 seconds remaining, or 22 seconds remaining, whatever it is. They took an entire play clock to decide we're going to call a timeout. Not run a play. Not say Russell Wilson get out there.
Oh, but a field goal wouldn't win it for him. It only gets him within 1 point.
No, it would have, because it was 16-17 at this point.
Oh, this is okay. That's after they kicked the. I fell asleep. I didn't see the end of the game.
No. This was 16-17.
Okay, so and how that was 64 yards.
64 yards. Yeah. McManus hasn't made a 55-plus yarder in 6 years.
How close did he come?
It was close. It brushed past the left upright.
Yeah.
It didn't hit it, but it was close to left upright. But still, and I believe it might have been the Seahawks icing them, or the Broncos may have. No. The Seahawks called timeout. McManus actually missed the first attempt, wide left, and then he goes and misses it, not wide left, but he misses it to the left the very next kick. It was an entire coaching error, because Nathaniel Hackett, just the entire Broncos were coached poorly, and you could tell that by the amount of penalties they had. A bunch of false start calls. I'm not sure how many pass interference, but we're talking 12 penalties, 121 yards given up just due to penalties, over an entire football field's length of penalty yards. You gifted the Seahawks that game. You gifted them the game. And when you have that amount of penalties, it isn't one specific player that's causing it. It's just a coaching error. Yeah. Because you're not coaching your team to be disciplined enough. So it's that entire game was, it was great to see. If you're a Seahawks fan, I'm sure you're very happy. The point spread, I think, was like 6.5 for the Broncos. They should have covered that. They were 0-4 in the red zone, 2 fumbles within the 8-yard line. Yeah. It was just it was bad.
They beat themselves.
It was just very, very bad. Yeah. Before our last topic, we're going to take a 30-second break, but we'll be back for our final topic.
Introducing video podcasts on Spotify.
Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch
or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe,
interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
Podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. I'm joined once again alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey.
Hi.
Let's move on to our final topic. We're going to cover 2 things here. We're going to pick Thursday's game. I believe it's Chargers at Chiefs. And then we will, and then before that, we're actually going to be discussing, we're going to recap week 1 to see, what our reaction was to each game. So let's get on that right now. That's our week 2 matchups. Week 1. So if these were our week 1s, let me explain real quick because it seems confusing. If there is a W and an X, that means we got the win right, did not cover the spread. If there's an X, that means we missed it entirely. If there's a W, that means we got everything. So recap. A W with no X, got everything. Spread and the win. An X, we didn't get the spread, we didn't get the win. But if there's a W and an X, we got the win, didn't cover the spread. So let's begin. We already talked about this, but the Rams and the Bills, I picked the Bills, you picked the Rams. I was able to win that outright. You lost that outright. So that's 1-0 for me, and you could actually see our records below each of our picks.
I didn't understand how good the Bills' defense is.
Yeah, the Bills' defense is ferocious.
Because the Rams have a good offense. It just didn't show up because the Bills were so dominant.
Right. So let's move on to the next game. Let's go. We already talked about Browns, Panthers. Panthers should have won that game. We each missed that. We each thought that Baker Mayfield would win that game. So, unfortunate for the beginning of our season, and also unfortunate for the Panthers as well.
Well, that's a tough loss for Baker Mayfield because I do think those penalties at the end that weren't called were the difference.
Right.
It's too bad that the refs take the result, have the say in how the game comes out.
Right. The next game, Steelers at Bengals. We each thought the Bengals win outright.
What the hell's wrong with Joe Burrow?
Joe Burrow.
4 interceptions and a fumble. 5 turnovers, huh?
5 turnovers.
That's pretty bad.
Very, very sloppy game. Very, very sloppy game.
Yeah.
But
and then they couldn't even kick an extra point.
And yeah, the end of the game.
You know what? It
crazy.
happened twice. The center hiked the ball way up into the air.
Right.
And the guy had a hard time getting it down. And by the time he got it down, the first one, they partially blocked it. And the second one, it freaked out the kicker, and he kicked it wide. So they were just not ready to play.
The holder couldn't spin the ball around, so was it Money Mac? McPherson, I think that's what his name is. He was kicking laces. Wasn't even kicking straight pigskin. He was kicking laces, which no kicker, asked to kick laces. So, yeah, that was an unfortunate game. Joe Burrow played horrible, so who knows what's going to happen in that division. Ravens right now, they're right now, I think, poised to win. I know I think it's tied between the Steelers and the Ravens, but I think if
no one would have thought Joe Burrow would throw 4 interceptions and fumble the ball.
No, not at all.
Right?
They just were in the
that
Super
they would
Bowl.
miss an extra point.
A few of them.
Yeah.
A few of them. And then probably one of the weirdest games, Colts at Texans. That game ended in a tie, a 20 apiece. Going to the fourth quarter, the Texans were up 20-3. Matty Ice was able to come back. Michael Pittman, like I said, my hot take, Michael Pittman. That might not have actually been in my hot take, actually. But Michael Pittman, I said 1,300 to 1,400 yards this season. He's on a great start, over 100 yards in that game. He played well. Matty Ice played okay. Running game was pretty good. Just Davis Mills kept him in the game. They choked at the end, but you know what? That the great teams would keep the lead. The Texans are not a very good team. I'm happy for Lovie Smith. You know what? First head coaching stint with the Texans. Doesn't start off in a loss.
I like his beard.
Yeah, no, Lovie Smith is a cool guy, but this was a weird game through and through. It was just bad. It was bad all around. What do you have anything to say about this game?
I'm very surprised how poorly the Colts played.
Yeah,
Particularly got Jonathan Taylor. Why weren't they just handing the ball off to him?
right.
Right. Seems like they would have done much better. Just having a ball management game with him running the ball, and the defense gave up 20 points, so they didn't pay.
I'm surprised
great.
by the Texans defense holding the Colts to 3
Texans,
points.
I'm very surprised.
3.5 quarters.
The Texans are a lot better than we thought, or the Colts are a lot worse than we thought. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm going with the Colts are a lot worse so far. I'm not going to say the Texans.
I thought that I've got them going pretty deep into the playoffs this year.
I think if I remember your record, you had them going like 15-2. Well, now they need to go 15-1 the rest of the year, which after what I saw in week 1, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
The next game, we already talked about this, Ravens and Jets. Lamar Jackson, 213 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Actually, no, sorry, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Joe Flacco, over 300 yards passing. The Jets defense played surprisingly well in the first half, then fell apart in the second half. But you know what? It is what it is. It's the Jets. They're an unfortunate team. And I'm not too shocked about what went on here.
Yeah. Well, we got it right.
We got it.
We've got the point spread right.
Yeah. Well, the point spread was 7.5. It dropped to actually 6.5. I believe Saturday or Sunday morning. These spreads were all that Thursday. So
yeah.
And then that's what we're going to be doing. Yes, the spread will change from Friday to Saturday and to Sunday. These are the spreads strictly for Thursday. The next game, Chiefs at Cardinals. My God. Patrick Mahomes, is he better without Tyreek Hill? 5 touchdowns, 360 yards passing, I believe. An absolute just domination, 44-21. We each picked the Chiefs to win and cover the spread 6 points. I'm not surprised at all by...
You got the Chiefs up there with the Raiders.
No, I don't.
It's not, say, KC and...
This the Chiefs next to the Cardinals on the left side. 3 up from the bottom.
Point to it there.
It's the left side, 3 up from the bottom.
1.
Above the Bucs, above the Packers, the Chiefs are right there.
Yeah, Chiefs, but the other side of it says Raiders.
It's the Cardinals right here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was on the wrong... I see there's 2 columns there. Yeah, I'm sorry.
So,
okay.
What's your reaction to that game?
I picked the Chiefs. I got this one right. So.
Well, what about Patrick Mahomes' performance?
He did great. Yeah, I think he's starting off like he's expected to be. He's earning his money. Yeah, he played well. I have the Chiefs going deep. I haven't gotten to the Super Bowl.
You do?
Yeah. So I'm not surprised by that game, and I'm not surprised by Kyler Murray having a kind of a lousy game, right? Because I do think
Right.
there's an issue there, that the way his contract was done, and I think he was sour grapes, and I don't know. We'll see. I don't think they're going very far. I don't have them making the playoffs this year.
Neither do I. The next game. Actually, no. We'll stick to the 1 p.m. games, and then we'll move on to the 4:30. Even no, we're just gonna go down column by column, make it easy for everyone. Packers at Vikings. I got this one right. You got it wrong. I picked the Vikings were underdogs, 2-point underdogs at home against the Packers as of the bet line Thursday. The Packers didn't play very well. A lot on Aaron Rodgers, some on coaching. Didn't run the ball very well. You have very, very young receivers. Vikings played really, really, really good. I think I had the Vikings. I had originally had the Vikings at the 2 seed. I dropped them down to the 3 seed. The Vikings look really, really good.
Oh, they have a new coach too, right? New head coach.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mike Zimmer.
Maybe this is the Vikings'
fired.
year. We'll see.
I don't know. I'm not gonna say they go to the Super Bowl. I'm just saying they'll do really well. Win out the NFC North.
The Packers started slow last year too, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
So, I think they lost to the Vikings in one of the first couple of games last year too.
The Vikings always play up. Kirk Cousins always plays up to the Packers, so I'm not that surprised.
Yeah.
Bucks against the this is the Sunday night football game. Bucks won 19-3 against the Cowboys. Brady a little over 200 yards passing, interception, a touchdown. Dak Prescott got hurt. He'll be out 6 to 8 weeks with some sort of hand issue that he got successful surgery on yesterday. It might have been today, actually. I think it was yesterday, though. Defense looked really, really good. The Bucs defense looked very, very good. They were able to rush with 4. They blitzed a lot, but they were able to get to Dak Prescott with 4. You don't have Tyron Smith. You're probably your best offensive lineman. So I'm not that surprised. I'm a little bit surprised about just the offense on the Bucs part. The Bucs offense did not look very, very well. Chris Godwin's hurt again. He has a hamstring injury. That might sideline him for a few weeks. But what was your reaction to this game?
I picked it right. I have the Bucs winning and beating the point spread,
Right.
and that's what happened. I'm not that surprised. Dak Prescott got hurt, right? He's going to be out for a while.
Yeah.
And that's too bad in a way for the Cowboys. They've got the backup quarterback. It's nothing special. So I don't know. Could be the Eagles win the division now. We'll see.
That's what I got going. The next game, Saints-Falcons. Falcons choked this, just like they choke most games. The Saints ended up winning on a game-winning field goal, 27-26, but the Saints did not cover. So, what are your thoughts on the Saints, the Falcons, and how the game played?
I'm not that familiar with what happened in this game. I didn't follow the stats on it. How'd Jameis Winston do?
Played okay. I mean, it's Jameis Winston we're talking about, so it's nothing
Do you have
spectacular.
any interceptions?
I could look that up right now for you, but I do not have that up at the moment. The Saints. Jameis Winston did not. He had 2 touchdowns, 270 yards, 269. Marcus Mariota, 215 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Offense came alive from Cordell Patterson, 120 yards on 22 carries.
There's a
and
player the
touchdown.
Patriots should have hung on to. It's Cordell Patterson. He's a good player.
Yeah.
They have him at running back now, right?
Yeah.
He's a running back.
Yeah,
He's tough.
He's a what's it called? He's a switchblade. Yeah, you have everything you want. A multi-tool. That's what he is. Because he returns. He's a receiver, or was a receiver. Running back. It's everything you want on offense. The next game, 49ers at Bears. We each thought they went outright. The Bears go out and upset them at home, 19-10. Trey Lance did not play well. A lot of mistakes. You know what? Like I've been saying this. If you put a competent quarterback, and we don't know if Trey Lance is entirely incompetent, but if you just put an actual quarterback, a developed quarterback,
Jimmy
right
G.
there, it could have been Jimmy G. They would have won.
They would have won that game.
No, they would have won that game if you have really any other quarterback in there. But this is the problem. Trey Lance, you put him in this game. Started I think 2 games last year. This is what a rookie, because he technically is a rookie. This is his first year starting. Who knows how long that'll last? But you put him in, he's gonna have this type of mistake. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of given when you have someone like that.
They're in a rock and a hard place there. If they want him to, if they really think he's that good, and just because he hasn't had the experience, they have to suffer with him out there on the field for a while until he shows his potential.
Right.
And
So
I don't know. I don't think that will last very long. I
Right.
really don't. So,
Right.
particularly when you've got the quarterback of the caliber of Jimmy G sitting on the bench there. He took you to the NFC Championship game last year.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty surprised by how this game turned out. The next game, I don't know whether to be surprised or sort of thought, that sort of makes sense. Was the Eagles and the Lions. Eagles were able to pull out the win 38-35, but the Lions clawed their way back. I believe it was like 35-14 in the fourth quarter, and they just started clawing their way back and brought it. Basically, they had a chance to actually beat the Eagles, but just couldn't come up with the win. They had a lot of one-score games last year. Couldn't get the win, though. I mean, the Lions look really good. Like I said, you could argue for them winning 8 games. You could argue for them winning 4 games. It was just, I'm really impressed with how the Lions played. But
the defense wasn't that great, huh? 35 points.
No, not that.
38 points. They gave up 38 points, right?
Right. I think A.J. Brown had a phenomenal game. I think he had like 168 yards receiving, some high number like that. Jalen Hurts could throw the ball pretty well. He didn't start off great. He had 9 of 19.
Wouldn't say the Eagles' defense was anything special either.
No.
They gave up 35 points.
But Jalen Hurts played. I think he played really, really good. A.J. Brown had a great game, as you know, one would expect coming from A.J. Brown. But a great game all around for both teams. Yes, the Lions were unfortunate to end up with the loss of this, but you know what? They played. I think each of them. If the Lions won something, they won at least in morale. This is a moral victory for the Lions. Yeah. So good for both teams. But I'd say good for the Lions. I'm not gonna say I'm a Lions fan, but you know what? I respect the Lions a lot compared to the rest of the NFL.
Yeah, me too.
The next game, Patriots at
we
Dolphins.
We already talked about it. Unfortunate.
Yep, you picked them going outright, going with plus 3.5 dogs, winning the game and beating the Dolphins, beating the spread. I have the Dolphins winning outright. And we all know what happened. Dolphins won 20-7. Strip sack, interception, Jalen Waddle, mental gaffe by the Patriots defense at the end of the first half. Dolphins come out with the win. Nothing too surprising there. Jaguars at Commanders. Commanders were able to win and cover. I believe it's a 2.5 spread. Jaguars played pretty well, 28-22. Jaguars were leading midway through the fourth quarter. Carson Wentz was able to battle back and end up with the win. I'm good. I'm happy for Carson Wentz.
He played well.
We're talking about the Jaguars, though. Nothing too great, but his ability to just come back. You know what? Revenge for the end of last season where the Colts lost to the Jaguars in an ugly, ugly loss.
Yeah.
They got him booted from playoff contention. This is Carson Wentz's revenge game to get him back, and he did just that.
Yeah, he played well.
Another game, the following game, Raiders-Chargers. I picked the Raiders to win outright. I just thought, you know what? I thought, what's his face?
I don't think the Raiders are that good.
J.C. Jackson's out. He didn't play in that game. Asante Samuel Jr. was there. You had Derwin James, who I think he's the highest paid safety in the league. I just thought, Devontae Adams did have a pretty good day, though. Over 100 yards. I think he had 121 yards. Derek Carr threw for almost 300 yards. It's just the Chargers defense. I underrated them. Khalil Mack got 3 sacks. Right now, he's tied for the league lead in sacks. So good for Khalil Mack.
Joey Bosa, too.
Joey Bosa, they have a very, very good defensive front. Khalil Mack seems to be a little bit rejuvenated. He did not have the same pop and energy when he was with the Bears. Now that I think, well, we can definitely get to. I'm a playoff contender now. Let me put some more pep in my step and let me get a little bit of that motor up and running again.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm in for a rude awakening. I do have the Chargers winning the AFC West though, so I do have that going for me. But I just thought Raiders might be able to split with them. So who knows how the Raiders play? I might still have them. I might have them beating the Chargers in the next matchup though. The next game. Giants beating. We each had the Giants losing to the Titans. Yeah. Titans beating it.
It's a good game. It was a very good game.
If there was a Coach of the Week award or if the Coach of the Year award was at the end of Week 1, Brian Daboll got it hands down. The integrity that Brian Daboll has to say, you know what, we're going to dish the Saquon for the 2-point conversion, down by 1. We're going to do it anyway. The Ravens couldn't do that last year a couple times. They lost a lot of one-score games. So for Brian Daboll to do that, just go in, dish the Saquon, who had a really, really good game. I think that's actually a career game for Saquon. Great for the Giants. I was watching the game with all my friends. We were very, very excited for the Giants. But it was a very, very entertaining game to watch. Daniel Jones had a pretty bad interception.
And a fumble.
He did have a fumble. I think,
And that shuffle pass, the shuffle to Barkley at the end there, he almost muffed that too.
Right.
He rolled out. It looked like he wasn't quite sure what he was going to do.
Yeah.
And he just kind of said, "I'm not going to take responsibility for this," and he gave it to Barkley. So, luckily, Barkley got in the end zone.
I think the question mark, and I've heard
They would have lost the game.
No, they would have. Yeah.
They would have, because they would
game.
have just burned up the clock. There's only 1 minute left.
Right. I could already tell that a lot of Giants fans have a question of where's Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney, I think in his first game starting as a Giants receiver, put up almost 200 yards receiving last year. I think he was out for one play where he caught a great pass. I think he went 14 yards, and then he was done. It's got like Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne's a good receiver. He didn't get used really. He got used for one play for 41 yards. Kadarius Toney last year, yeah, I think he was hurt part of the year, but he had almost a 200-yard game last year. He comes in for I think one play maybe, gets a 14-yard gain. It's on the bench. So I guess you know what, they might use him later on in the year, but Kadarius Toney is a big question mark for a lot of Giants fans on where is Kadarius Toney. And the last game we touched upon it earlier. Broncos at Seahawks. Russell Wilson. Bad coaching for the Broncos. 12 penalties, 121 yards.
Beat themselves
up. 0-4 in the red zone. 2 fumbles within the 10-yard line.
Congratulations, you beat me. I went 7-9. You went 9-7.
And then the spread was the same.
I did poorly on that.
2 more wins. Spread's hard to get though. I almost went 500.
Yeah. It's early in the season.
No, it is early in the season. It is early in the season. But to finally wrap up the Harvey Hour for our last little mini topic, we're gonna pick Thursday's game. We'll get to those other games on Friday. We're gonna pick Thursday's game though. I believe the opening line right now, I can look it up, but I think I saw it before. It was -3.5 for the Chiefs. So that means on a neutral field, the Chiefs would have a half point advantage. Who are you taking for Chargers at Chiefs?
I'm taking the Chiefs.
You're taking the Chiefs?
Yep.
Are you going to pick the Chargers to maybe score a field goal? Or are you going to take the Chargers with the spread? Or are you going to take the Chiefs outright?
It's a 3-point spread?
3.5 point spread. A field goal and the Chargers would cover.
I think the Chiefs will win. Will beat the spread too.
So you think the Chiefs win outright?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to choose the Chargers.
Just the way they played on Sunday. My God.
They played really, really well.
World beaters. Yeah. Their offense looked great. The defense was good too. I mean, the Cardinals are not a bad team.
No.
So they have some weapons. They have some weapons. So
they do.
Yeah. I was impressed by the Chiefs. I'm picking them again.
I'm going to pick the Chargers. I'm going to pick them to win outright. Justin Herbert has gone toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes every single meeting. Toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes. His first ever start, 311 yards. I think it was 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Your first career start is against the guy who I think the previous year put up 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns. Went toe-to-toe with him. It's just because you're a rookie and your team wasn't there yet that you couldn't pull out the win.
Justin Herbert is quite a long way from being a rookie now.
No, I'm talking about the first meeting though.
Yeah.
And I said, coming out of that draft, I believe it was the 2019 draft, I said Justin Herbert's better than Tua, and you could argue he's better than Joe Burrow. Argument. Joe Burrow's made a Super Bowl. Justin Herbert's team, especially coaching, wasn't up to what Justin Herbert's potential is or what his talent is. They went, I believe, 9-8 last year. Your head coach the following year wasn't very, very good at all. So I'm picking Justin Herbert to win this game. I don't have a score. If I had to put a score on it, I would probably say 31-27, a high-scoring game. Chargers beat the Chiefs. What would you for a score? What would you say?
I'll flip that score. I think it's the other way.
Okay. 31 to
27 with the Chiefs winning. Okay,
so I think that wraps up the Harvey Hour for today. My name's Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We will see you Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another pick'em. We're gonna make our predictions.
Yeah. Oh, before we go,
what's up?
Your Harvey hot hand. How did that turn out?
Not very good.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting who I had. I had the 49ers was a loss.
Yeah.
Broncos was a loss.
Yeah. The Colts. Didn't you have the Colts in the?
No, I had the Ravens was a win. I had the Ravens. I have it right here. Who else do I have?
Yeah.
I had who else do I have? I had the Vikings. That was a win. 2-2. And the last one the Panthers lost. I went 2-3 on my hot hand. 2-3. Not great, but the Panthers should have been a win. What else should have been? The 49ers game was an anomaly, and the Broncos beat themselves up.
Yeah.
So if every team just played like they should have, I would have went 5-0.
Yeah.
I went 5-0.
That's football.
No, that is craziness in week 1. We have 16 more games, 17 more weeks of football to get through. That's what for us? That's 32 episodes coming up. So we have a very, very long NFL season. NBA season's coming up in about a month. So we'll be talking about that. I'm very excited to see Donovan Mitchell.
The baseball
the
playoffs
Cavs.
will be coming
Baseball playoffs are coming back. I'll try to bring my brother John Harvey back on for the show to give his postseason predictions for the MLB season or MLB postseason. But for this Harvey Hour, we're going to close it out. My name's Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We are the Harvey Hour. We will catch you guys Thursday at 6:30 p.m.